The capable cities can develop bankable projects or bankable structures which allow them to leverage private capital from development finance institutions such as ourselves. So together, World Bank and IFC can turn India's vision and Andhra Pradesh trade and investment ambitions into bankable and sustainable inclusive projects. And I think again the emphasis on the word bankable, because no private sector will want to put its money if it's not assured of a fair return, right? Subject to obviously certain degree of risk that each investor will take. And these projects could be bankable on their own, but I think equal importance needs to be given to making our entities bankable. Private sector wants to engage with entities, government counterpart entities, which are bankable. Focus obviously on quality, resilient jobs, and livelihoods. Just to show that the importance we place on India as an economy, India is actually our largest portfolio globally. We have an exposure of $10.3 billion US dollars, which represents over 11% of our global portfolio. So just to put it in the perspective, India as a shareholder in the World Bank Group has a voting right of about 4-5%, but it represents more than 10% of our global portfolio. In Andhra Pradesh, a lot of you will know, we've recently, the World Bank Group, along with our partners, Asian Development Bank, have supported the development of the new capital, Amaravati, in a very, very big way. And it also aligns directly with the Swarna Andhra Pradesh vision. I mentioned about the Vizag project. And we work across verticals, so not just direct investments into infrastructure like Amaravati or the Vizag wastewater recycling project. We work through financial intermediaries. So we've been working through financial institutions and microfinance institutions who have a very large footprint in Andhra Pradesh, especially catering to low-income households, women entrepreneurs, and MSMEs. We also work on manufacturing. So industries which are setting up base in Andhra Pradesh, in India, including foreign investors, we try and do what we call South-South partnerships. We bring in companies, international companies who are interested in setting up base in India, and we not just bring them in with, curating these partnerships, but we also are able to provide funding to them. I think finally, I heard that in the run-up to this event, MOUs worth $100 billion have already been signed. So just to say that these kind of events and platforms do help quite a lot in directly building local economy. And IFC, as part of the One World Bank Group, we stand ready to partner with the Andhra Pradesh government and India's private sector and other key development partners to turn this movement into tangible outcomes. As I said, our modus operandi in emerging markets, the way we operate is through curating bankable projects. So if a private sector spots an opportunity, let's say it's a large renewable park in Andhra Pradesh, and they want to curate that project, we are able to come in and broker that partnership between the private sector and the government of Andhra Pradesh, and then ultimately deploy large-scale funding also. And our funding also, increasingly, we come in with the consortium. So it's consortium lending. We can put in equity. We can put in debt. But increasingly, we work largely through development partners. And together, our vision is to make trade and investment the true gateway for shared and sustainable growth for Andhra Pradesh, India, and the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I now request Natasha to deliver her remarks, please.
Well, distinguished panel, esteemed guests, colleagues and friends. It is a pleasure for me to be here standing in front of you at the 30th CII Sustainable Partnership Summit 2025. This has been a forum that has consistently positively affected the trajectory of India's economic engagement. And our theme today, which talks about a gateway to growth, a trade and investment imperative, is very relevant and very timely. It could not be more opportune to speak about this because EU and India are today approaching the final stages or conclusions of a landmark free trade agreement. And let me say something or highlight something that the audience here already understands. And that is the fact that this free trade agreement is going to bring immense opportunity for both sides. There is absolutely no doubt that there is immense opportunity that will arise both in trade flows as well as investment flows. European companies are actively seeking to diversify their supply chain. They're looking to reduce their reliance on single region sourcing. And at the same time, they're looking to strengthen resilience against future disruptions. In this context, India stands very strong, and it does have an edge. It also indicates and stands for itself as a country with innovation, with opportunity, and this is not just for the scale in the market size as well as the workforce that India brings, but it is also for the reliability and capability of Indian producers. So in this regard, let us look at 6 factors that are going to be essential when we develop strategy or when we look at how to really capitalize upon the growth gateway. The first one being trade as a catalyst. The progressive removal of the EU tariffs, particularly in the sectors of agriculture, apparel and textile, which have traditionally been sectors with higher tariffs, above average tariffs, is going to bring in tremendous opportunity for impact on trade volumes. In this regard, it will encourage EU companies to look at India as a dynamic, competitive and high-quality sourcing destination. We do have the opportunity to stand out as the sourcing destination. Indian producers, particularly those that rely upon domestic sourcing for raw materials like cotton, will qualify and will meet the rules of origin requirements. This will give them an competitive advantage over preferential countries such as, or various economies such as Vietnam or Bangladesh. Bangladesh currently enjoys a GSP status and this is expected to evolve. At the same time, we should also recognize that the agreement will expand India's access into the European goods and the European products. The high tariffs, which have historically prevented import of European goods in certain sectors, the reduction of these tariffs will now allow for more goods and opportunities to be available to Indian consumers and Indian businesses. This means we're going to have enhanced choices, we're going to have more quality options and more innovation. This drives us towards even more competitive and environment to stand out for ourselves. I want to next move upon the aspects of investment. I want to speak about investment here. This is a two-way street. The trade flows are not the only dimensions of this partnership, but investment flows will also be significantly impacted. We already see and know, and some of our panelists have also highlighted, that under the Make in India vision, we have seen European investors seeking in opportunities for manufacturing and innovation in India. The FTA can accelerate this by addressing the long-standing barriers that have made investment or operational setup cumbersome. When these factors are eased, then everyone wins. Whether it's the European investors or it is the Indian partners, but it's also the Indian local workforce and Indian people that stand to benefit in this regard. Thirdly, I'm going to touch about sustainability. This is the new imperative. There's no turning away over here. It is the journey ahead. It is the future. But let's look and understand why. Okay, EU companies, to put into perspective, EU companies today are operating under unprecedented scrutiny. They are driven by legislations such as CBAM, the deforestation regulations, and also the forthcoming forced labor rules. They also have expectations that they have to meet from consumers, investors, and civil society. So this means when the European firms are sourcing from or investing in India, they need reassurance that their supply chains uphold strong environmental and social standards. Many companies, including members of M4E, in this regard use strong and internal systems which are capable of identifying risks on labor conditions, occupational safety, discrimination, or environmental practices, all the way down to their supply chain. Now, with the best positioning of India with regards to sustainability, we will be able to seize the opportunities, okay, in maximizing the benefits of this FTA. This effort is not going to be easy, but it is necessary. And importantly, it will not only benefit business, but it is also going to benefit workers as well as communities. A very quick touch upon the shared role with the government. Okay, here it is also important that to understand that India has already made tremendous progress with regards to labor reforms, compliance structures, as well as digitization. But continued engagement, such as consideration of or considering the ratification of the remaining core ILO conventions, such as freedom of association and collective bargaining, will further strengthen India's case as trusted long-term economic partner. These are complex tasks in a vast and diverse country, no doubt. But they are also foundational to ensuring that the FTA is supported by all the necessary stakeholders in Europe. As endorsement from the 27 EU member states and the European Parliament will be essential and the next step. At a time of heightened political sensitivity, India's ability to demonstrate strong commitments on sustainability will help to secure broad and timely approval. We must also understand we do work in a competitive global landscape. Over here, it is worth noting that India is not the only country deepening ties with Europe. The EU has just concluded a comprehensive and enforceable trade and sustainability chapter with Indonesia and is in discussions with Thailand, which have produced similar outcome. These countries are also positioning themselves as responsible and attractive sourcing destinations for European business. India, with its scale and capabilities, should not just match, but also exceed these commitments. And lastly, let's look at the gateway to shared prosperity. As India continues to showcase its readiness, its openness and sustainability and investment facilitation, I do firmly believe that this FTA could become one of the most successful in EU's portfolio. It has the potential to unlock unprecedented trade, drive innovation, and enable sustainable industrial growth, thereby also empowering millions of workers. So the world is watching, and it is watching India rise with admiration. This FTA is more than a commercial document. It is a strategic bridge between economies that share values of democracy, innovation, and long-term partnership. Together, we can shape a future where trade and investment become engines of sustainable, inclusive, and resilient growth. Ladies and gentlemen, the gateway to growth is open. Let us step through it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. I now request Her Excellency Ms. Armida to deliver her keynote address.
Excellencies, business leaders, ladies and gentlemen, A very good afternoon to all of you, and it is indeed my pleasure to join you again in this CII Partnership Summit, and especially in this particular session on Gateway to Growth, the Trade and Investment Imperative. By way of background, let me start by highlighting the two interconnected challenges faced by many countries in our region in sustaining long-term economic growth and development. The first one is the convergence of per capita income levels between developing countries and the world's frontier countries has decelerated, driven by slower labor productivity growth and the diminishing impacts of capital accumulation on productivity gains. Second, many countries in the region remain trapped in production activities with lower value addition, and it is becoming more difficult to upgrade into high value addition segments of global supply chains amid rising trade protectionism and fierce international competition on technologies. The answer to overcome these challenges lies in strategic trade and investment partnership, in forward-looking alliances that transcend borders, that ignite sustainable economic growth as well as development, and in forming network of free trade agreements that prioritize areas such as green technologies, digital infrastructure, and resilient supply chain. By forging deeper ties with like-minded partners through strategic free trade agreements, countries can diversify trade routes, mitigate risk from restriction, and channel investment into high-impact sectors. In the present global context and situation, it is of my view that for India, the gateway to growth can further be opened through continued policy reforms in areas such as ease of doing business, labor laws, and streamlining custom procedures and reducing logistical bottlenecks. Second, by fostering a vibrant innovation ecosystem, which is crucial for developing high-value products and services, through increased investment in research and development, encouraging the creation of intellectual property, promoting collaboration between academia and industry, and supporting startups. And third, by investing in skills development and vocational training programs aligned with industry demand, will ensure a skilled workforce capable of supporting advanced manufacturing and digital services. Fourth, by adopting policies that promote green manufacturing, renewable energy, and sustainable supply chain, will align India with global environmental goals and open up new opportunities in the green economy. Fifth, by leveraging India's robust digital public infrastructure, such as the Aadhaar, UPI, and the Open Network for Digital Commerce, can further enhance trade efficiency and financial inclusion. And finally, by tapping into India's large domestic market, the country's 1.4 billion population, with increasing purchasing power, is one of the largest markets in the world. The government has taken initiatives such as Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is high time that in addition to facilitating FDI inflows, domestic investment are also facilitated to upscale the manufacturing and services sectors. The industry also starts to tap into the large domestic market, which will keep India's momentum of growth on the right path. With the above thoughts, I conclude, and thank you very much for your kind attention. I wish you all a very successful summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very holistic address. I now request His Excellency, Mr. Sovichit, deliver his keynote address.
Good afternoon. I think all the speakers have exhausted all the idea that people need to absorb in order to get as a lesson learned or the fruitful discussion of this panel. For us, I think based on the theme of trade and investment imperative, we have to look a little bit closer how to cooperate and how to share together. This morning, distinguished panelists and ministers have paved the way for us on the particular factor to grow together through cooperation, through readiness, through platform of digital technology, and through investment. In this panel, we discussed how trade and investment would be. So first, my respect to Mr. Narayan Setumramon, the co-chair, Confederation of Indian Industry, International Council, and CII Trade Policy Council and Managing Director. Excellency Deputy Minister, esteemed speaker before me, Excellency, distinguished delegate, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and privilege for me to be here to represent my Minister of Commerce, Excellency Chon Vimul of the Kingdom of Cambodia in this 30 Partnership Summit 2025. And my pleasure to deliver the keynote address in this important session on trade grow, gateway to grow the trade and investment imperative. On behalf of the government of Cambodia, I wish to express my deep appreciation to the government of Republic of India, especially His Excellency Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce and Industry, in collaboration with the government of Andhra Pradesh and Confederation of Indian Industry for the invitation for us to come to this event and to give opportunity for us to deliver the speaks. As you may note that over the past decade, ASEAN and dialogue partners have made remarkable progress in transforming regional economy through trade openness, investment, facilitation, and regional integration. The evidence of partnership have been highlighted in a good result through South-South cooperation, Greater Mekong sub-region cooperation, which is fostering sustainable growth and shared prosperity among developing countries. However, the global economy is at a crossroad, facing shifting supply chain, technology transformation disruption, and urgent need for green and inclusive recovery. In this context, trade and investment cooperation stand as the most powerful engine to propel our region toward sustainability and shared growth. Cambodia firmly believes that strengthening trade and investment cooperation remains the most powerful driver for achieving equitable growth and create resilience in our region. In recent years, it became even more clear that prosperity of nation is closely connected in shared interests or mutual benefit in partnership among the nation. In this context, I wish to stress that India is the big market. India can be a hub that would promote cooperation of trade and investment between the nations in Asia. Maybe we don't say only South Asia, but also Southeast Asia. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Cambodian emphasize on the factor of significant potential for successful promoting trade investment in the region through the following collaboration. First, trade must serve as a gateway to share prosperity among the nations, since the global economy has been rapidly changing. It should serve the purpose of facilitating the flow of goods, service, investment, labor, and technology transfer. By fostering trade through regional and global integration, we will be able to create inclusive and sustainable economic opportunity to overcome global uncertainty. As an ASEAN member state, Cambodia, in collaboration with other members, has solidified ASEAN position as the global economy force, underpinned by robust growth, dynamic workforce, and progressive integration effort. For Cambodia, we have worked tirelessly to promote economic integration, reduce trade barriers, and strengthen connectivity in the region and the world through our integration into regional grouping and World Trade Organization. We believe that regional and global partnerships have boosted trade, attract investment, and stimulate economic growth. Cambodians continue to pursue an open, rule-based multilateral system, just mentioned by Director General of the WTO this morning. The necessity of rule-based multilateral system still be a strong mechanism to support trade. Our commitment to regional economic integration is reflected in our participation in regional comprehensive economic partnership. That's in this particular point, I strongly suggest that the more partners we will have, I think we can expand our trade much more better and larger. And our active role in ASEAN Economic Community Framework, particularly ASEAN-Indian Partnership as a vital pillar of our collective economic resilience. For this particular case, India's growing global role in technological capability and being a large market have complement in ASEAN integration agenda. The progress has been made through mechanisms such as ASEAN-Indian Trade in Goods Agreement, ASEAN-Indian Business Council, and Plan of Action, which both sides are creating new pathways for trade, investment, and digital connectivity. For this year, 2025, ASEAN-India focused on cooperation in areas such as digital transformation, supply chain resilience, and other cooperation. Cambodians support the ongoing review of the ASEAN Trade in Goods Agreement to make it more modern, inclusive, and responsive to emerging global reality. We encourage collaboration in MSME development, innovation ecosystem, and sustainable investment, particularly in sectors such as renewable energy, digital transformation, and infrastructure. We believe that partnership of deeper regional connection will unlock new market opportunity and strengthen the value chain that create prosperous linkage of our economy. Second, investment is the engine of transformation. The Royal Government of Cambodia adopt and implement the new law on investment and aim to boost foreign trade investment. We invite India partner looking at this opportunity to move to Cambodia with a market that could share the growth together. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, with these remarks, I feel that it is time that we all together can come to the new impetus and using this platform to move together. But last but not least, allow me to once again express my appreciation to the government of India, especially Minister of Commerce and Industry, and the government of Andhra Pradesh for inviting us to participate in this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As we are running a little behind schedule, we will not be able to take questions. I will now hand it back to.
Thank you, session moderator, for initiating those dialogues, and thank you to all our presenters. May we please request you to kindly present the mementos in your capacity as session chair for this particular session. Let's have a big round of applause for all our speakers, ladies and gentlemen. And I request you all to kindly remain with us. We will be immediately moving on to our next session, which is a fireside chat between the Director General of CII and the Director General of the World Trade Organization. It will be an interesting conversation. So we request you to please remain with us. Let's have a big round of applause. I know it's the later part of the day, but let's show some enthusiasm. Let's have a huge round of applause for all the speakers, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, I'll request session moderator to come forward with our speakers for a group photograph, and then we'll break for the next session. We request you to kindly remain with us. We'll just take a couple of minutes to make the necessary table arrangements, and we request you to please remain with us while we have the next session. May we request our delegates in the front to kindly take the respective seats. We are about to start the fireside chat. May I please request our delegates in the front to kindly take the respective seats, and request people at the back to please come forward.
Ralston is driving that momentum, taking India to the world. From revolutionizing bicycle tires in the 1950s to leading automotive innovation, we now enter a new era, commercial tires. We use high-quality raw materials, SCADA system, and precision machinery sourced from the best manufacturers from across the globe. Our automated tire building utilizes nitrogen curing for superior uniformity and performance. Our proprietary cool compound technology enhances fuel efficiency. Every tire undergoes rigorous testing: visual, X-ray, uniformity, and dynamic balancing. We ensure radial runout, endurance, and casing strength meet our exacting standards. Each tire is barcoded for full traceability. Made in India, made for the world.
If rising temperatures are the result of our choices, can better choices rewrite the future? That is the question we ask ourselves every single day at EcoRem. The more greenhouse gases we emit into the atmosphere, the more the planet warms. Unless we reduce these emissions and return closer to pre-industrial levels, rising temperatures will continue to have a profound impact on our planet. Today, electricity and heat production are responsible for roughly 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Industries add another 24%. Agriculture, forestry, and land use account for 22%, and transportation contributes nearly 15%. We have addressed some of it so far at EcoRen by building large-scale wind, solar, and hybrid projects across India. But now we're ready to go further to take on this challenge at a much larger scale. That's why we are launching First Element and reimagining the next frontier of clean power, the green molecule. A green molecule is an environmentally friendly and sustainable chemical component produced from biodegradable materials, renewable sources, or even low-carbon feedstocks. Through First Element, we are building new infrastructure, accelerating research, and investing in what we believe is the future, a world powered by green molecules. By replacing conventional fuels across key sectors with green hydrogen, green ammonia, green methanol, and sustainable aviation fuel. By accelerating EV adoption, we are driving the energy transition towards a truly sustainable ecosystem. The result? A cleaner, greener, and a cooler planet for the future generations. So yes, if rising temperatures are a result of our choices, we believe that making better choices today can rewrite the future.
Welcome to TVS Motor, the flagship of India-based TVS Group. TVS Motor is a globally recognized brand operating in over 80 countries across Central and South America, Africa, and Asia. We believe each market is unique, and we innovate relentlessly to create vehicles tailored to diverse terrains and consumer needs. From the challenging Dhaka Valley to the highest motorable roads, TVS delivers performance, reliability, and excellence. Our expansive product portfolio includes performance bikes, connected scooters, electric vehicles, commuter bikes, utility vehicles, and three-wheelers, offering mobility solutions for every need. Since manufacturing our first two-wheeler in 1978, TVS Motor has been at the forefront of innovation, combining cutting-edge technology with deep consumer insights. Our milestones include India's first Bluetooth-enabled scooter, dual-platform FI technology, and the iQube, our advanced electric scooter equipped with telematics. Every vehicle embodies the TVS commitment to quality and performance, honed through rigorous testing and development, including on the racetrack with India's first company-owned race team. Our state-of-the-art factories symbolize the DNA of TVS Motor, combining design expertise, advanced production management, and global supplier partnerships. These facilities produce vehicles with precision and efficiency, ensuring world-class quality. To maintain our edge, over 400 professionals undergo continuous training at our corporate universities, supported by robust employee engagement and recognition programs. With 13 million services annually, contactless buying options, and connected apps like TVS Smart Connect, we prioritize seamless customer experiences. But the TVS way goes beyond mobility. Through the Srinivas Services Trust, our social arm, we work with communities and governments to empower the rural poor. By driving awareness, skill development, and training programs, SST has transformed countless lives, keeping the soul of TVS Motor alive and inspired. At the heart of TVS Motor lies the TVS Way, a philosophy of customer-centric innovation, exceptional quality, and the pursuit of excellence. This approach drives us to create products and experiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be initiating the fireside chat. This is an interesting conversation between the Director General of the World Trade Organization and Director General of CII. It's an interesting conversation which we call it the fireside chat, and we request you to all remain with us. We will be beginning this in just a few minutes from now. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Her Excellency Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Director General of the World Trade Organization, along with Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General of CII. Welcome to the fireside chat on strengthening multilateralism, trust, partnership, and inclusive development. I will request Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee to kindly initiate this conversation. Over to you.
Excellency, Director General, World Trade Organization, warm welcome, welcome back again to this plenary of the Partnership Summit, and welcome also back to CII, with whom you have interacted in the past. You gave a very strong motivational speech a few hours back from this podium, and that really touched a lot of minds and evoked a lot of thinking. But I wanted to start off probably, the moderator said fireside chat. I don't know if there's no fire on the other side, but you can light the fire by saying that, Madam, how concerned or how optimistic or pessimistic are you to see in a world which is quite chaotic, if I may say, in terms of the trading order, and rules are not sometimes the rule of the day. So what makes you How do you make things out of it? And are you optimistic that this too shall pass, or are you feeling quite disappointed?
Well, dear Chandrajay, thank you so much for having me again. As you said, this is not my first interaction, and I came back because I think the CII does such a good job of bringing a large number of investors and business people, big and small, together. So thank you for doing it. Yeah, you said the world is undergoing disruption of rules and so on, and how am I feeling? First, I have to be very candid and admit that the disruption in the global trading system that we see now is unprecedented, the worst we've seen in 80 years. The questioning of multilateralism is also unprecedented, and the undermining of multilateralism. And I say this because multilateralism was built 80 years ago after a very difficult period with a Great Depression, two world wars, and the world recognized that you need interdependence, and trade is part of that interdependence if you want to build peace, and if you want to alleviate poverty and build wealth. And it has largely delivered. So I think that's why a lot of people are very concerned and very puzzled that the very system that was built up is now being questioned. But I have to say, maybe it's being questioned because it hasn't really delivered in an even way for everyone. We have to admit that too. There are poor regions in rich countries that may not have benefited, and there are poor countries and developing countries who feel the system could have done much. So I think let's admit that. So this disruption, you asked, how do I feel about it? I feel uneasy about it. I feel concerned about it. I do not think it's completely going to go away. I think we have to live with uncertainty for a period of time. And I think that business should get used to the idea that we are going to have to live with uncertainty for a period of time. Having said that, I'm cautiously optimistic about the entire system. And do you know why? Because in spite of this heavy disruption, WTO members have behaved in a very good fashion. They've avoided a tit-for-tat war with the US. The US and China have de-escalated. Other members have not done tit-for-tat, as was the case in the 1930s. And the global trading system is still largely working on global rules because WTO members are still mostly trading with themselves outside of the US unilateral actions on WTO terms. So we have 72% of world trade that is going on WTO MFN terms. So that gives me some optimism. Second point of optimism, is that there are many emerging new opportunities in the disruption. I see opportunities in this crisis. What are those? I think there are countries that are waking up and realizing we have been over-dependent on some other countries. Over-dependent on the US for markets, over-dependent on China for critical supplies. We need to diversify. There are businesses waking up and realizing they have to diversify value chains. And India is a big beneficiary of that. That's an opportunity. So there are also opportunities in green trade, in digital trade that are emerging. So let's not just look at the downside. There are also some upsides.
Great that you say that there are more upsides than downsides, and that's what...
Well, I said there are some upsides.
Yes, some
I don't
upsides.
know, right now I'm weighing the two. I don't know which one is better, up or down, but there are some upsides to look
Absolutely, there are upsides, and that's what we will have to leverage on. Madam Excellency, are there some key messages that you think that you would like to give? In two sections, I'll put it. Let me first come to the businesses of the world. Let's come to businesses. What are your three key messages in a world where we can all succeed and really elevate people who are in every sections of the society? What is the contribution of that you see from the business while this certain policy ecosystems keep getting disrupted?
Well, the first message to business is that please see the opportunity in the crisis. This is an opportunity for you to diversify. You're starting to do it already, but don't be afraid. You need to create value chains elsewhere. You need to look for new markets. If you miss this opportunity, I think you're missing something. The second thing is that it is business that trades. I believe in business. I believe in listening to business, big and small. They are the ones who trade. I don't trade. Government officials don't trade. So we must listen to what are the challenges that they're encountering in the trade. I say, let us know those challenges now that we are trying to reform or speaking about the reform of the system. Bring them in. I'll give you an example. Catering from Japan. The new management of catering, Japan was to the WTO. And they came with a study, with a list of the challenges they see in the trade. Here you're interested in reform. If you want to reform, this is the way big Japanese business sees the problems. The US agricultural groups told us, here are some of the issues we feel you need to work on reform. I'd like to hear from Indian business. What do they think is wrong with the system? So I'm challenging you to know so we can put it in and create a system that works better for you.
No, that's fantastic. And I think your openness to discuss with business is a very refreshing approach, because for the WTO to be connected directly to business is something that we always look forward to. And I think that's something that you have brought in, and we look forward to taking that further. And I'm glad that you mentioned the example of Japan and Kedandran, with whom we partner very closely. Madam, one of the things that I was tempted, because you talked about it in the morning and today you touched upon, in this very evolving and very strongly in the world of digitization, in the world of digitalization, there are lots of inclusivity opportunities that arises for our countries as well as for our businesses. And I think in this digital sphere, there is a lot, again, in the rules that WTO can bring in. And how do you look at this? You mentioned technology, and that's going to play a very critical role. And that's the reason, because that can even be very exclusive, excluding in terms of helping prosperity come in. So, but then it could also, I guess, an opportunity. So how do you take it, and what's your advice on that as far as trade is concerned?
Well, I'm one of those who is very excited about technology, actually. I've always been. It has its downsides, no doubt, but I see technology and the advent of AI, as we've done studies on that at the WTO, and there could be huge positives on the trade side. We see AI, for instance, bringing down trade costs substantially. We even see the nature of products and services traded being changed by the infusion of AI, and how to govern that is quite exciting. But we've done a study that shows that, look, if we're able to adopt AI evenly across the world, it could be a net positive. It could even increase trade, global trade, by 40% by 2040. We call it our 40 by 40. But if we don't adopt it evenly, it's going to create more inequality between developing and developed countries. And that worries us quite a bit. How do we avoid that divide? Now, I think India stands at a unique opportunity because of the skills, the digital infrastructure, public digital it has established. And the examples, it's very innovative. That India is a leader here, and has the ability to push forward in a way that can also bring in other developing countries in the digital sphere. Now, what can we do at WTO? The basic rules that govern digital trade are not yet there. There are none. And at the WTO, we are negotiating that as a plurilateral agreement with about 91 members. So we have these agreements. I have a little bit of an issue because India has some issues with plurilaterals, but at the WTO, there are two ways to approach rules. Multilateral rules, but some members can also get together to develop, in a coalition of the willing, rules that can govern some of the things that happen in world trade. So that is happening. We also have the e-commerce moratorium, which is a multilateral issue about, do we extend this so there are no taxes on digital transmissions and electronic transmissions. And I hope we can extend this at MC14 so it can create an environment. But can I ask you a question? My question to you is, what are the 2 or 3 things you think the WTO should do? Where can we reform and be more useful to you and all the business people out there? Even one area that you can think of.
Well, that's a fantastic question. The reverse was quite unexpected. But yes, of course, we as India talks about always that we do wish to go by rules-based trading system. How do we see some reforms? And Kedandran has posted to you as to the type of reforms that it looks at seeing. So when we look at rules-based system and as to how that can be enforced, and the enforcement of that rules-based system across the globe, and is something that we WTO to come out very strongly, because we do see faltering nations get away, and some of us who are in the emerging category, and some more who are in the upping category, if I may say. We would like, as you said, that what we would like to see is that enforcement and the following of much rules all nations. And how can that's something that we would look forward to WTO doing.
Well, thank you. I think your answer alludes to something that where there is an issue at the WTO, which is the only one of its kind in the world where one member can bring a dispute. And the second tier is like a lower court and an appellate court. The second tier has been hobbled since 2019. But I want to use this opportunity to tell everyone that it doesn't mean the system is not working at all. It is. The lower level, panel level, lower court is working. And members are still bringing cases, if you wish, of problems they have with each other in trade. Since 2019, when the appeals appellate body was hobbled, we've had 50. So it has continued. And now, you know what is happening? There are alternatives that have been developed to the appellate body. So the EU and some other countries have gotten together, other members, to develop what they call the multi-party interim arbitration arrangement, MPIA, which takes the place of the appellate. It has now handled 3 cases successfully. So we do have an alternative, and 58 members have now joined, and we are looking towards 100 by MC14. So we don't have to be, I don't believe in getting stuck. If something doesn't work, come up with a new idea, a new creation, and we've done it. Does that mean we abandon the appellate body? No. Still needs to be reformed when the time comes and we can persuade the US. But for now, we use the MPIA.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. And because you talked about the MCN and the MC14, and we are looking forward to March 2026.
Are you coming? Are you coming?
You ask me, I will.
Okay.
Excellency, we see that, what you see as an outcome of the MC14, some of it which you alluded to, but long-standing issues of food security. You mentioned about the PSA, permanent solution to PSH after so many years. The significant demand of India, as you know, has been various stakeholders and resource poor, small, marginal farmers. So what's your expectations again from the countries at the MC14?
Well, I hope, when I've talked to a lot of leaders now, I mean, at the president and prime minister level, ministers, ambassadors in Geneva, and there's an emerging view that MC14 should try to deal with those issues in the WTO that don't work. Meaning not that ministers will come there to solve the issue, but at least to identify and agree on a set of issues and then choose the modalities to solve the problem. I'm coming back to India's criticism. It is what they call a past mandate. India is concerned because PSH, an interim solution was given to India, and then there was, in the papers which I've read carefully, it was agreed that a permanent solution would be negotiated, and that has gotten stuck because there are many members who have, views about the PSH program, and it's become so polarized in a way, trying to even introduce objective information to help them make decisions is difficult. But there's the issue of the past mandate, and India has a good point there. What do you do about past mandates? I think India should put it as part of what it's requesting to be looked at in the reform. Separate it a little bit from the ongoing negotiations. Those should continue. But put the issue of past mandates. Why shouldn't ministers look at, these are the things we agreed. Why haven't we done them? It's a reform issue. And I hope it will be one of those that will be put forward. I'm not a member, I'm only the DG. But I think this is a good case in point.
No, thank you. Another area, just to change subject, is today we from the Indian business, the Indian government, many other countries are concerned, and rightly so, on climate and green. But we see sometimes tools being adopted or which are more we see for protection, and we view and more as trade barriers. While we support green transition, definitely we are keen to see that. But we have our aspirations as a developing, and there's an emerging strong economy. The others also have their own aspirations. But how can we look at certain measures that we see which are more like trade barriers? I'm of course referring to areas like CBAM. I don't need to couch my, but how do you see that being navigated through?
Well, I think this is an excellent area to talk about, and I'm very sympathetic to business. Do you know that there are now over 100, I think there are 113 carbon pricing schemes in the world, and business is supposed to navigate that from one country to the other, different emission standards. How do you navigate all of this for your products and for your trade? So I'm sympathetic. But like I said in Belém last week, there are two communities that don't come together in a way that I think would help us solve the problem: the trade and the environment. They are like two separate communities moving in parallel and suspicious of each other. I think we need more of a dialogue so that the environment people can understand the way the trade people see some of the measures they put in place, and the trade people understand why the environment. The WTO Secretariat has been working hard to see if we can help bridge that kind of gap. So climate is an existential threat. In my village, farmers don't know the word climate change. They don't know what it means. But what they say to me is, my daughter, for an older farmer, or my wife in my husband's village, they say the rain has been coming too much. It has been, our crops are dying in the field. We've never seen this in our lifetime. Something has changed. We don't know when to harvest. We don't know when to plant. So climate change is real. So we have to do something about it. But we must not do it in such a way that these measures are seen as protectionist when they are not meant to be, or are unmanageable, where systems are not interoperable, and business has to deal with so many. So I agree with you. What's the solution? At the WTO, we are actually good at trying to help with standardization of systems And we think that the best approach is a global. Each country can measure its own methodology for customs valuation. We need a methodology globally. All the problems and accusations. If you do something, it can be measured.
Madam, you're the first lady Director General of the WTO, right? And 50% of our population in the world needs to come up. There has to be parity. And when you talk about trade and parity with relates to that question, because you also talked about Africa and to see the development, and we see trade rules play a very, very critical important way of including not just economies, but our population in the mainstream and helping that out. We see many ways that have not been taken into account by many countries, which has led to deprivation. As the first lady president, Director General, I wanted to seek your views. I know it's not connected to the fireside chat that we are having on WTO, but I always feel very strongly when we look at the 50% of the population of our world not perhaps being at par.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm an economist by training, so I look at numbers.
Yes.
And so for me, if you look at many SMEs, they're driven by women. We've also done many studies that show that women SMEs who trade externally, they make 3 times as much income as those who trade internally. So and they contribute substantially, not only to the national and global economy. If you want to exclude GDP, that's not a good thing. So I'm coming at it purely from an economist. Hardworking, creative, they are running businesses that work and employ other women. So they should. How do we empower them? If you go through all the things, you find which SME is also male-led SME to finance issues, market access, knowledge, you know, and so on. And so at the WTO, we have been working very hard trying to target those issues. We have a branch called International Trade Center, which is 50% owned by WTO and 50% by the United Nations. And they focus on helping SMEs. So we are trying to do, we have been working very hard trying to target those issues. We have a branch called International Trade Center, which is 50% owned by WTO and 50% by the United Nations. And they focus on helping SMEs. So we are trying to do, we have been working very hard trying to target those issues. We have a branch called International Trade Center, which is 50% owned by WTO and 50% by the United Nations. And they focus on helping SMEs. So we are trying to do, we have been working very hard trying to target those issues. We have a branch called International Trade Center, which is 50% owned by WTO and 50% by the United Nations. And they focus on helping SMEs. So we are trying to do, we have been working very hard trying to target those issues. We have a branch called International Trade Center, which is 50% owned by WTO and 50% by the